Hi, everyone. Today's Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. Welcome. I'm Jeffrey Morgan, and this is a talk I host twice a week to discuss my experiences on the path of soul transcendence. This offering is brought to you by the Movement of Spiritual Inner Awareness with the encouragement and support of my friend John Morton, who holds the mystical traveler consciousness, which is the spiritual consciousness that does the work that we're doing here today. If you're new to the call, the format is simple. We're going to start by calling ourselves forward into the light, which is calling our awareness forward into the light of God that's already present. Then we're going to chant 3 Anai hues. Hue is an ancient name for God, and Anai invokes a quality of empathy and compassion. Then I'm going to play a video clip from my teacher, John Roger. And then I'm going to read a poem by Denise Levertov called The Avowal. And then we can talk about whatever you would like. So I'm not seeing Ron on the call. Great. All right, everyone, if you'd like to gently close your eyelids and take in a deep breath. Father, Mother, beloved friend, God, we call ourselves forward once again into your love and light and sound. We ask to be filled, surrounded, and protected by the light of the Holy Spirit and the light of the Christ, and we ask for this with love and understanding, that only that which is for the highest good take place here in accordance with each soul's destiny and the destiny of this planet. We open ourselves to receive of the guidance and the healing and the clearing of spirit. We ask that any karma or negativity that can be lifted be taken into the highest realms of light and dispersed into the nothingness from which it came. We do this session in the presence and under the guidance of the mystical traveler consciousness, the energy and presence of the Lord Jesus Christ and John Roger to infuse all that we're doing here. We ask to be guided more fully into the truth of our divinity, that anything that is available that we may sacrifice at this time, that we give it up willingly, that we give it up with joy. For in that sacrifice, there is the celebration of that which we truly are. We are so grateful to be together in your name. So grateful to be of service and so grateful for all the blessings that you bestow, for we know the blessings already are. And grateful above all because we know it is your will that is done. And so it is. Berush Bishan.
If you want to know if you're learning spiritual things in the physical world, there's one criteria. If you think you're learning spiritual things for the physical world, there's one criteria, and that is a change in your behavior. And that can be seen by anybody who looks at you, from the previous behavior to the new behavior. You people understand 10% level? The physical, emotional, imagination, everything you can see, touch, or taste, feel, is the 10% level. Your body, red shoes, brown shoes, socks, shorts, shirts, tie, the color, all that is your business. 90% level is invisible. And what we're doing now is bringing you into the awareness of what that is. And as that awareness gets more and more, you'll think you're getting more spiritual. All you're doing is waking up from a long winter sleep. You've been hibernating. So we've got to pay attention to what the environment is speaking to us. It will reflect back our inner environment, but it won't be the same, because in there is a very pure divine essence. The magic there is not sleight of hand. It's what we all say is magic. It is that moment when the Spirit of God and the Holy Spirit comes forth inside of you. And at that moment, you know that everything is absolutely perfect.
Okay, this is the Avowal by Denise Levertov. As swimmers dare to lie face to the sky, and water bears them. As hawks rest upon air, and air sustains them. So would I learn to attain free fall and float into Creator Spirit's deep embrace, knowing no effort earns that all-surrounding grace. All right. We'll go with Michael. Have you shared before? You haven't? Okay. We'll go with Michael first.
Hello, Jeffrey.
Hi.
Michael Bijlani in Miami, Florida. I'm honored to be speaking with you for the first time. Thank you for your ministry. I admire your level of clarity, depth of knowledge, range of experience, but particularly your style of delivery. So thank you for your generosity and tenderness. Perhaps a little background is relevant. I'm a student of Surat Shabd Yoga. My great grandmaster is Baba Savant Singh of Bias. I was introduced to MSIA some years ago by my now wife and MSIA minister and DSS enrollee, LK 100 Mark Bijlani, who is on the call with us. LK and I were blessed by John Morton last year when he gave seminars in and from our living room. So here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
You were in close contact with John Rogers for many years. Did he ever speak to you about Baba Sawan Singh and or his successor, Sant Kirpal Singh? Were there any discussions between the masters or exchanges of ideas or even anecdotes that were relayed to you?
That's a good question. I think that I had about as much interaction with John Roger as a lot of people on this call. There would be often weekly seminars, and I would be very young, but for some reason I felt called to be in the room, whereas other kids would either be in the back of the room or outside the room. But I felt like I had to be there and I had to listen. And I would often wait and try and not be in the way so I could get a hug with John Roger. He's My parents told me that he discussed that with them that he was my godfather. I have another godfather, but he was very, let's say, involved in my upbringing because my parents would run a lot of stuff by him. Some stuff I liked, some stuff I didn't. I think me and my older brother were always beating up on each other. I would say more my older brother beating up on me than me beating up on my older brother. And at one point, John Roger had suggested we just need some boxing gloves to get it out of our system. Um, but I think my brother had quite an advantage. So all this to say, all the involvement I had with John Roger was very much as a student of John Roger. I didn't have like some privileged access to discuss some of these matters. And although I had, I think, in many instances, very privileged access, and that I wasn't being prevented physically from going up and hugging him and being close to him, I was quite young at the time. So, for example, I relate very closely to like when Ishwar Puri would talk about how when he was very young, he would interact with Sawan Singh. Of course, when he was older, he would have more direct conversation with him. Um, I think that all things considered, the questions that I did have the privilege of asking uh, John Roger at the time when he was physically engaged with me in that way were pretty good questions for my age. I hadn't by that time really discovered Sawan Singh, or if you talk about Radhaswami Satsang Beas, or the Ruhani Satsang in Delhi with Kirpal Singh. Those are all things I learned about later. I was always very curious. And I think if one of my favorite bookshops is the online bookshop at the Radhaswami BS website. There's just so much. And I think Radhaswami BS would be the first to say that the reason they celebrate and they claim all these different teachers in Sant Mat is because there's something very eternal and and boundless about this consciousness that we work with. We call it the mystical traveler consciousness. I think that in a sense, we try to overcomplicate, well, why did John Roger call it that versus something else? I think calling it his own thing freed it a bit of the burden of something like Satguru or Waheguru, or you go into all the terminology, or even Radhaswami, or even any number of names for one who represents the Lord of the Soul Realm. All of that comes with a lot of culture, a lot of history, a lot of context. And I think what I admired in one of the things I absolutely admire and adore about John Roger is because he came from ostensibly a rural mining town in Utah, he didn't have a lot of that context. So there's a kind of innocence when he would find things that simply matched the inner experiences he was having. He wasn't fettered by the weight of generation after generation of tradition and rules that you sometimes see in the Indian lineages. And if we dig into the lineage even further, it's really hard to say. You could say that Radhaswami Beas and their teaching that coming out of Baba Jaimal Singh and into Sawan Singh, not quite the same as the lineage in Agra with Shiv Dayal Singh and Rai Saligman, right? So there's these different lines. And then even then you could say, well, Shiv Dayal Singh was probably initiated by um, you know, like any several different lineages back, you go back and you probably find the Dharam Dasi succession from Kabir and the Anurag Sagar, which is considered kind of like cardinal text in Radhaswami. But then you look at that and it kind of looks a lot like the secret gospel of St. John, or it sometimes looks like the Sethian Gnostics, or it sometimes looks a little bit like Drew's text. So it's like, who's going to claim ownership of all of that? In answer to your question, I have heard in seminars John Roger reference sort of the Singh brothers, like the Singhs. So I think he was, and he did actually suggest to people originally The Path of the Masters as a book. He also recommended to people Tiger's Fang by Paul Twitchell, which pulled a lot of information from essays written by Kirpal Singh. Kirpal Singh was a bit pedantic for my taste. Like it felt very mental. I'd say I like Charan Singh's like Die to Live and things like that a little bit more, because it feels a little bit Sufi in a sense. Um, but yeah, I never heard JR reference it because I think that that's really only one line or one thread of what we're doing. And it's important to understand that on the one hand, we have this very, let's say, almost Sikh Guru Nanak Kabir line coming in from the Indian side of things. But we have a very Christian mystical side of things. And our Christology is very unique and tends to resemble certain early writings of the fathers of the desert and even potentially some of the teachings of the Essenes, which have, you know, arguably a tremendous amount of crossover with the teachings that Jesus espoused at the time. So we say that the Lord Jesus Christ is the head of our church. I don't think that's just because John Roger was raised Christian. I think it's very much because we relate to the teachings that we follow, even to some extent the Radhaswami teachings, to be derived from the same source, which is a great master who lived in the region of the Galilee 2,000 years ago, who everybody thought was going to bring the downfall of Rome, but who was really bringing the downfall of the physical world's dominance over the soul. So for my part, I never really heard him talking directly about Sawan Singh, but I can speak to my experience of Sawan Singh. I have a picture of him on my wall because when I look in his eyes, I see the Christ too. I don't think there's any difference. You know, we study the teachings of these great masters throughout history only to discover there was only ever one great master, and there was only ever one way, truth, and life. And it always was going through the same path, and it wore many different costumes and many different personalities and teaching many different people in many different contexts and many different languages and many different cultures. A lot of people in the West slander Muhammad because they look at the behavior of his successors and students and the caliphate that came after. I suppose you could do the same thing to Jesus if you look at the actions of the Catholic Church over many, many years. But if we go to the root, if we go to that master form that speaks through the mouth and expresses through the eyes, and that presence, that perfume that you can't help but feel stained by when you're in the presence of it, it's anywhere, it's everywhere. And it's so interesting the way that it chooses to express through all these imperfect forms that we call humanness. And I think where we would deviate from Radhaswami is. I think Radhaswami would look at Jesus as yet another great master, perfect living master, you could say, or Satguru, but that part of what he would bared or went through from the perspective of Radhaswami is taking on the karmas of his people, taking on the karmas of what was going on, but not necessarily teaching the panchnam or things of that nature, so not able to fully transcend the karma or something. I think that's where we deviate, because we would actually look at Jesus Christ as the pattern, as the ultimate pattern of liberation through which we all follow. That he demonstrated, in a sense, in Radhaswami and in the teachings of the Vedas, there's a slight differentiation between Atman and Jiva, right? A Jiva, you could say, is a unit of consciousness that can get trapped. It can get tricked. The Jivas can be, they say in the Anurag Sagar, like Kal continues to munch on the Jivas. And I always somehow visualize Cheetos or something, but that's probably wrong. And that's allegorical for like constantly being stuck and stuck and stuck. But that one that is the Atman, that one that is the essential ultimate truth, that spirit within us, was never stuck in the first place. It was just a costume. It was just an individuation. It was just the entire ocean attempting to express itself through a drop. And what, to me, Jesus demonstrated, and what I believe John Roger talked about, was here was a person who had pure spirit expressing through human form. So we would differentiate the Christ action, or the Christ action, from the consciousness of the mystical traveler. And I guess it's a matter of differentiating function. In many ways, the Radhaswami model is, you could say, simpler, because you take darshan with a perfect living master. He gives you diksha, you get the panchnam, you just repeat it the rest of your life, and you follow and be unequivocally and adoringly devoted to this person who's the embodiment of that consciousness. And then you got it made. But another thing that I would say is different is John Roger was very, I would say, conservative in his approach, where instead of giving all the 5 names all at once, the way they would do in Radhaswami, we're given individual pieces, and we demonstrate that we can hold that energy for a period of time, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next. JR was very much, in my experience, about not rushing, about making sure that we get it. And he was also about empowerment and independence. I don't think he wanted an army of followers devoutly falling at his feet. He wanted a group of people to assist in the work he was doing on the planet. That he would constantly repeat this one adage from Jesus, where he would say, "This too I have done, you shall do an even greater, because I go to the Father." That somehow the bridging action of the Lord Jesus Christ opened a way for us all to step forward. The whole concept of a Satguru and all of that, it is very hierarchical. And there's something very powerful in that. It's not bad. It's like, hey, vegetarian diet and fall in love with this person and you're good. That's great. But I think that the movement seems to attract a certain variety of rebel that is constantly poking and prodding and seeing if it's right. And John Roger was very encouraging of that. It wasn't unequivocal devotion to John Roger. It was everything I say, check it out, test it for yourself. But then again, I start to wonder, I've read all of this work of Sawan Singh, and he kind of explained the way bhakti works, but at the same time, I don't necessarily think he advocated worship of Sawan Singh, the personality, because he was directing his own worship toward Baba Jamal Singh, who was directing it. It's like there's some continuity into spirit. And he was also advocating being a scientist. He saw the guru, like if you read in the beginning of the book, The Dawn of Light, right? He saw the guru very much as the more studied hand, the more expert scientist, spiritual scientist that would guide the student in doing the experience of connecting the soul, the surat, into the shabad, the sound current, right? And he saw it more as almost like a studied hand guiding and lovingly helping the person establish it for themselves. It's hard to know outside the context of culture what is really meant by all of these terms and all of this that we're studying. I study all these teachings of all these people, and I find that there's really only one teaching, one truth, and that is God is. There's nothing else. There's nothing else that exists other than that which is, that God is love, and that love is all there is. And not in like a hippie sense, but I could tangle myself in knots with all the things I've read. And I don't care. I mean, some of the stuff Sawan Singh says is just positively heavy. I mean, with all the devotional stuff you got to do. But man, when I look in those eyes, I just see a waterfall of loving tenderness. I can only imagine what it was like to hug him. I know what it was like to hug JR, and I can tell you it was the single safest place on the planet. I don't know how to feel that safety anywhere else. That maybe in Simran, like I can feel something like it. Maybe. There's something about it. It's like even his skin was speaking. Like you would hug, and you felt like every molecule of his being was talking to you or singing. It's very strange in the most beautiful way possible. He didn't talk, John Roger didn't talk a lot about his sources. And in some ways, I feel like he was doing us a favor because it's like you could be very snooty about the copyright of it all and be like, well, he should have referenced all these books he was mentioning. But it's like, yeah, but then I have to read that book and then I have to wonder if that book was right. And then I have to, all I know is everything I've ever heard JR say, even the stuff that really pisses off my mind, seems to work energetically. And maybe he was just doing a big favor by curating the truth of it. Like he was just grabbing the cream and leaving the rest. But then there are nerdy punks like me who just have to read it all. And it's like, because it's like I hate that feeling when the doubt starts to shake me. And it's like something hit me a while ago where I was just saying, listen, if I feel doubt, I need to do my spiritual exercises, I need to do the Simran because it means that I don't yet have enough experience to withstand the full slings and arrows of my karmas. It means that I don't yet have enough experience to know something. And the things that I say on this call, there are things that are in the teachings that I don't say on this call because I don't have experience on it. And the only reason I can speak to Sawan Singh is because I read the stuff because it sounded interesting. And I looked in his eyes and I went, wow, that really feels nice. Thank God he let those pesky American students force him to take pictures of himself. Used to not be an option. Yeah. But he's just one of those beings that like you just love him on sight. You can't help it. I think JR is the same. Obviously, well, I know JR is the same, but I don't remember a time when I didn't love JR, so that's a poor example. But I remember the first time when I saw this picture of someone saying, I just went, wow, I just love that guy. I don't know what he did, but something in his eyes tells me that he's the
I
very
have a
best.
picture. I have a picture of him on my wall as well, and I'm touched by the way you said all of that. I am reminded of so many principles. So thank you.
And my mind had the most trouble with the whole Christ thing because I was raised in a, let's say, a Semitic context. So I I would get triggered when it sounded like churchianity or like churchy Christiany stuff. But it's like anything else. When you dig past, it's like if when you dig past the when you get past the leaves, past the branches, past the trunk, and you finally reach the root, you realize that there really is only one tree and just many shoots everywhere. So, and then, because I'm a punk, I would just be like, well, Jesus, if you're really there and if you're really doing a ministry on the other side, and if this all thing is real, show me. And then he showed me. And then I went, okay. So I can't defend it intellectually, but I could but I experience it daily. We'll put it that way. As frustrating as my mind finds it.
Thank you. Blessings.
God bless you, man. Thank you. Um, I see an Eric and Julius. Have you shared? Oh wait, no. I know Eric. Is Julius sharing? As somebody who not shared, I just want to get people who haven't shared. You have shared. Oh wait, hold on. I'm gonna unmute you.
I've shared before. It's just the question encompassed both of us, but we don't. I can wait too. It's fine.
If it's for both of us and it's a new person, let's do you.
Okay. Um, yeah, we just moved into a new apartment and we acted on intuition and it seemed like the right thing to do and it's been challenging with a new neighbor and see how I want to phrase this. It's like I know that we're supposed to be here, but we're being um, challenged. Like there's certain aspects of it that are bringing up a lot of things for us, which I think is great. But it's like getting that place where we can actually feel comfortable living and like being and walking around our space without being yelled at. Um, and sorry, I think my voice is like shaking as I'm saying this. Um,
Sorry, so you walk around the apartment and the neighbor complains about you?
yeah, she screams up at us because it's a New York apartment. It's old and I think I kind of go into a fear place just because of certain past experiences I've had growing up with my mother and like other things.
Oh,
But there's been some conflicts already, and we're just trying to just walk around our apartment and, be comfortable and live our lives. But I understand also the karmic component of it, and then I'm clearing a lot of stuff with this. And so I'm just wondering if there's anything you see that could assist us in just being comfortable in this space in the most like graceful way. And I think maybe you understand what I'm trying to ask, but
definitely.
yeah,
Well, congratulations on your new place.
thank you. It's
Um,
nice. It's very nice.
it's taken a very long time for me to get to a place where I relate to situations like this that spark great inner suffering for me with a kind of joyful anticipation.
Hmm.
And that joyful anticipation goes, wow, this is really going to clear me out. Because what'll happen is I'll be freaked out about something. Like
Mhm.
something will be problematic, something will be upset inside of me, and that upset will show light up parts of me that that are not yet healed, that are not yet released, that are not yet cleared. So as you mentioned, you have some trauma with your mother, for example, or you have some things around not feeling safe in the place that you live.
Yeah.
Now, most people's response is to be positioned, to be angry, to be upset, to get righteous, to talk to friends, to build a case against the person. I kind of take the opposite approach, which is it's like if life was crossing riverlands, and each time we cross a river, we have a pack and we're fettered with all this stuff called whatever we're bringing from past lives and all of our traumas and all of our upbringing and all of the whole thing. And to pass each river, you have to make an offering to the river. So you have to take
Hmm.
something off your back. It's like I look forward to that washing away process. So you kind of go, well, this upset that I have, because honestly, the person banging, it's a question of interpretation because you could bang and you could say, I love you too every time she bangs. If she bangs, you go,
Hmm.
hey, I love you too. Have a wonderful day. You know what I mean? But that's a question of attitude.
Yeah.
You're interpreting it through your memory, you're interpreting it through your karma. So for me, the opportunity is how do I hollow out myself? How do I, it's like you've heard me read The Empty Boat by Chuang Tzu, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do I empty my boat? Who is the me that is standing in resistance to this? Who is the me that is in upset with this? Who is the me? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the one that you need to let go. That's to me, that's the opportunity.
Yeah. I almost see that there's one that feels really guilty, like I have done something wrong
That's
by walking
awesome.
around.
So
Yeah.
you so in our conversations and in our interactions before, you have alluded to a kind of a guilt or a kind of a
Yeah. Yeah.
almost like a filter by which you expect. So this is your perfect opportunity to be free of that now. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
how do you be free of that? You fall in love with the guilty one. You make the guilty one feel right at home inside of you. You love that one as a part of God within you. You bless it. You thank God for it. You ask the guilty one to share about what it needs and you start supporting it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that one and the one that screams at me. That's a good one too.
Yeah, the one that screams at you because the truth is you scream at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why
Absolutely.
it triggers you.
Yeah.
Have you ever screamed at you because you made a mistake?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that I mean I wasn't guessing. But so John Roger always talked about three ground rules to live by, right? Take care of yourself so
Yeah.
you can help take care of others. Don't hurt yourself and don't hurt others. Use everything for upliftment, growth, and learning. And I think that we all have the opportunity to be more and more radical with the last one. So what you're going through it starts it starts to trigger a kind of gratitude in you.
Sure. Yeah.
Like when the person pisses you off, you go, wow, thank you. I had no idea this part of me needed healing.
It's like I know that this is a really good thing, and it's just taking some courage to really step into it, literally.
Yeah,
Oof.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what I got.
Anything from Julius?
Anything? No. No.
Is that helpful, Julius?
Yeah. He said yeah.
It's a bit, look, I'm crazy, and this might be a bit masochistic, but that's that's the only reason. I I find life reveals to me the exact things that I need to heal at any given moment.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
When in doubt, place her in your SCs, place her in your prayers. Just every time she bangs, assume that she's asking for you to bless her. When she bangs on the thing, just go, oh, she needs light. Okay, sweetheart, I know how to do that. I can do that. Dear Lord, I ask for her to be blessed. See, it's a radical point of view. When you're antagonistic with your experiences, it's actually disempowering.
Yeah. I'm just giving Julia some space to clear that.
Beautiful. Sounds like you're the perfect support for Julius right now.
And I've really been shown that a lot of this is to support her, but there's an agreement here to send her light and spend time with her.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get that one mixed up all the time. My ego is halfway into a defensive posture when I realized that the call was never really about accusing me of anything. It was all about me ministering to this person and that they have a specific need and a specific pain that I am uniquely qualified to support in healing. I mean, we all need to be very, very conscious of how we program interactions. And when you're plugged into what we're plugged into with the sound curtain and all that, people will, it's funny, people will get into car accidents with you. People will bump into you. People will start fights with you because they want it. They want what you got. We're busy defending it, trying to fight off what's going on. But like, I've had some of the seemingest, like the most seemingly rude and unpleasant interactions that in the drop of a hat turn into, oh, this is what it was about. The person needed to yell at me, and now that they're done yelling at me, now they just need the light. And I'm the perfect person to hold that for them.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm seeing all that. Yeah.
I'd rather live in a world where every atom of every universe and everywhere else is conspiring to bring me home.
And that's what this is doing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you attracted the perfect apartment for you to work on some of your basic self-reactive patterns. I mean, you signed up for the perfect school.
And I see how it's perfect for expression for me too, to
Big
just
time.
express freely no matter what feedback I'm getting outwardly. So it's perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Ah, that feels a lot better.
What often happens is we create enemies in our mind. We start believing negative thoughts. We try to mind read. We think we know what somebody's going through. And it tends to block our opportunity to experience the blessing that's already present. And I'm not saying this because I figured this one out. I'm saying this one because I bang my head on this one often. And I'll be halfway into trying to defend an ego position before I realize that that was never what this was about. Loving is usually what it's about. The story is what I create to protect my ego position.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, I'm definitely guilty of the whole speaking to friends about this whole thing and
No, and it
making a
doesn't.
story out of
It,
it.
it
So
it's fun. And don't judge it because it's real fun to
yeah,
talk shit about people. It's really entertaining. But make
yeah.
sure if you're going to do that, also just see them bathed in light and love them and ask for the forgiveness and healing for the part of you that's them because you might have offended her inside of you. She's in there and you're
Mm,
just speaking ill of her to your friend, but she's right there inside of you. Make sure she knows you love her. You just needed to talk some shit.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm
I'm see,
becoming a
I'm
little
not,
bit.
it's not like I'm not doing a moralistic thing. Like, great, you
Yeah,
called your
yeah,
friend and it's like, great. Did it feel good? Did it work for you? Well, yeah,
yeah,
sometimes it
yeah.
feels really nice. But just make sure that part of you that's her knows that you didn't mean anything by it and you still love her just the way she is.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Jeffrey.
My pleasure. Uh, Great to meet you indirectly, Julius. Um, Greg, you had raised your hand before, but I just wanted to acknowledge that in case you still needed to share. Do you want to share? Are you good? Yeah, okay. You lost your hand.
Oh, great. Okay, yeah. All right. I guess it's on purpose. I'm wondering about loops, karmic loops that we have going on. There's a pattern that repeats in my life, but it's not directly affecting me because it's about suicides. My dad's mother committed suicide when he was 5, and it affected him, and it kind of trickled down to the way I was raised, even though he wasn't that aware of it. Catholic background. Mom's going to be in eternal flame damnation forever and ever. Amen. And all that crap. And then my mom, they were married, for a long time while I was growing up. It's both my mom and my dad. But then he passed away, and they divorced, and she married another guy who I thought, hot diggity dog, I'm going to be in a new family. This is going to be great. And they were suffering from the same type of a thing where the mom committed suicide when they grew up. And so I was having to see that again because they were definitely impacted by that. And there was a lot of arrested development and weird stuff going on that way. And so now I just furthering the pattern. I just got news, or my wife just got news of a friend from kindergarten for her, who she's been very close to, and I've been close to her a little bit because of my wife just committed suicide as well. And so I'm wondering about patterns that come
Sorry,
into
did you say so
my.
a childhood friend of your wife committed suicide as well?
She just did, yeah, because she was in pain, and it was chosen to do, to not live in a painful life, I think is what happened.
Okay.
So, and one of my best friends growing up committed suicide. And okay, so where am I coming in as a consciousness into a pattern that seems to be floating around me? Am I responsible? What is there to learn? Do I just love the situation? Uh, it's one of these things, like, I don't know if it's over responsibility, but I'd like it not to hurt people that I love. And being a
So,
minister, it's kind of a different, I don't know whether there's an onus for me to actually, it might be for them only, for them to experience that karma. I don't know what to do with this, is basically where I am.
got it. Well, I guess I'm trying to unpack a bit of what what your specific concern is. Do you feel like you're somehow causing the suicides with your karma?
No, no,
Okay.
no. Well, I don't know, but I'm definitely on. It's around me, so there's got to be some kind of a something for me to learn in that. I would think.
Well, sure.
Still, yeah,
But that's true of everything you experience all the time.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's. I don't know. I mean, I listened to your talking and about what our participation in life generally is, and I don't want to go in and try to fix something that isn't mine to fix, for
Well,
example.
but where's the problem? The problem exists in your mind.
Yeah, for sure.
If the person is not karmically clear to commit suicide, the gun would misfire, they would miss, or the poison wouldn't take effect, or they would somehow survive the fall. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People people are going to do what they need to do to complete the karma that they have. And there may be some choice points in there where they could maybe take a learning from the experience, and there may be alternatives within a karmic field where you can choose not to commit suicide. And there's certain instances where that really is just the only way that the karma is going to be fulfilled, so it's pretty much a done deal. So yeah, I think it's safe to say, as you mentioned, if there's so much suicide experience going on in your experience level, that there is something for you to clear and heal in relation to that. But the work to be done in relation to that is just inside of you. Like, for example, if you have an incomplete in there, an upset in there about a suicide in your family or things of that nature, just go in and sit with the person who committed the suicide. Bring in John Roger, Jesus Christ, start working with and healing the person, healing yourself. Because honestly, I mean, that what we truly are isn't the suicide, and it isn't the physical experience anyway. So if there's something to heal, yeah, obviously you have suicide in your consciousness. How do I know? Because you keep experiencing people who have suicide. Therefore, you have an opportunity to heal that part of you that's in that process. I think there's a mental process that says, well, this must be a pattern, and what does this pattern mean? And what does this imply about me? And what am I supposed to do with this? Well, I guess where I'm suggesting is I'm saying, well, you don't really need to do anything with it other than what I'm suggesting that you do with everything you experience, which is God presents to me in every moment that which I am to heal and love and serve and let go of. So if you're perceiving it, there's definitely a part of you that needs to work with that. Whether or not you need to take physical action or do something about it, that's simply a matter of attuning to, Lord, what would you have me do, and following that action. But I guess where I differ is you seem to have this very severe or serious idea of like, well, suicide is such a heavy negative thing, and I keep seeing them a lot. Maybe I have a thing with that, but to me, it's like that curriculum, another curriculum, there, it's all just correct. It's all just stuff you work. It's all just stuff you heal inside of you. Do you get what I mean?
Hmm. Yep.
It would be like having an equanimity to it. The second you start building some kind of a shrine to a specific type of karma, you kind of miss the point, which is whatever comes forward, I heal it, I love it, I serve it, and I move on to the next thing. If that thing happens to be somebody committing suicide, I may discover I have a sensitivity with that. So I heal that, I love that, I serve it, and then it becomes clear. And then at that point, I go on to the next thing. And you could look at it and go, oh my God, that's so unfeeling. These were real people who died. But yeah, but what we're talking about, the problem that we're talking about exists at the level of my attitude and my relationship to it. And your mind's doing this thing called pattern recognition, which is great. I mean, God, we have no idea as humans how many people we indirectly were a part of their suicide process and we didn't even know. It's like we cut in front of somebody at the supermarket and we didn't know that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And that person was like, all right, I'm ending it all. This is over. And then goes and does it. And we go, well, the fact that you're aware of it just means you have karma to be aware of it, which means that you probably have some stuff to heal with it. You're being given a lot of opportunities to become neutral about suicide, which probably means you went ahead and did that in another time and you judged it real bad. And now you have the opportunity to get to a place where you realize it too is part of God's perfect creation and that there's a perfect harmony and that that's all part of this level. That whether you have a karma to be a CEO or a karma to commit suicide, it's just karma. It's still the expressions of the lower level. Liberation is not coming from any of those things. It's coming from the sound current. It's coming from the Christ action in you. And what's also coming from the Christ action in you is this ability to heal and liberate any part of you that may be in that state of suicide or in that state of regretting or being upset about suicide. So I would just say it's like you can be an equal opportunity lover of all the karmas that present themselves to you. And in your case, if you keep getting shown suicide, then that just means that's an important theme for you to work on inside of you until you get real neutral with it. And the weird thing is right about the time that I get neutral with something, like to really get neutral with something, that's about the time that something that it just stops appearing. So it may be that you're being given this great privilege to get free of an old karma inside of you. And then the second you become neutral about it, it won't be necessary for you to keep seeing those. But bear in mind, you're talking about infinite possibility and bounded probability, and you're talking about pattern recognition from a mind that perceives only a small fraction of what's actually going on. I had one of those weird things is when I would clear with people on the phone and I'd walk under street lamps, they tended to go out. Now I know that in the power sector, street lamps go out all the time, but for some reason in my mind, they go out because something was clearing or something like that. But that's just pattern recognition. Now, the fact that I'm noticing it, the fact that it's part of my karma, that means that I have something to work on. Because anything other than the void, shunya, anything other than that emptiness, that space where God is perceiving God, where there's just neutrality and that's overwhelming, unconditional loving that we are. Anything that's beyond that, that's past, that's future, that's anything other than God meeting itself in this sacredness. You're dealing in the karmic field, you're dealing in the mind, you're dealing in the ego, you're dealing in story, you're dealing in something that's fabricated. Now, whether that fabrication comes about as a result of you being in proximity to suicidal actions or things of that nature in the physical, or whether it's just simply, I notice that people cut me off a lot when I drive. Okay. See, for me, I just go, well, those are just two types of stuff that you can work and be free. But it's all part of the same system of creation down here. And it's not part of liberation. So if I'm to have joy and have it more abundantly and live in a more free way down here, then I just have the opportunity to clear and free up that part of myself that's associated with that thing I keep perceiving. But it's tough because when you talk about something like suicide, it's a topic that has a lot of cultural weight, it has a lot of emotional weight, it has a lot of familial weight. It can bring up a lot of fears, like, is that capacity in me? And then all the judgments associated with that. But I think for me, the most powerful approach is to have a kind of an equanimity where it is all just the next thing that I am to love and serve and heal, and then move on to the next thing. if I can get that equanimity and I can keep my attention on the third eye center and keep my attention on the sound current, then I can walk through life in a very simple way. Now, I'm not saying I mastered it. I'm just saying that that's that's the only thing I found that works. And so what happens is I find the things that I fixate upon in my consciousness are the things that really do need my love and attention and my serving and my loving, my healing. And then when it's done, my consciousness goes back into a kind of a neutrality. Not disassociation, not apathy, but a loving presence that doesn't seem to pull in any particular direction. It just feels full in itself, like a sweetness.
I have a question that's related to this. So I got everything you say, and I think that's wonderful, and I'm taking it to heart, truly. My question is, how would I best serve the survivors, the people that are grieving?
You would best serve them by witnessing in them the one that is transcendent of their karma. If you can know your God essence, you can know their God essence. And you hold for them with a knowing that whatever it is that they happen to be walking through karmically, it does not define them. And that you are the witness, you bear witness to the them that is transcendent of that. I don't go into a lot of commiseration when I deal with survivors and things like that. I go into loving and I go into service. And I find that just by being the one person in the room that isn't going into this whole sympathy and story and that is bearing witness to the infiniteness that is transcendent of this play and this drama of this particular lifetime, that people benefit from that because truly people know. They know that what they're seeing is a discontinuous energy field. They know that what they're seeing passes ashes to ashes, dust to dust. So deep, deep down, they really do get that this is not forever. And in many ways, this type of experience reminds us of the mortality of this level, that everything here dies, everything here changes. But it also reminds us that there is a level that doesn't change. And there's a way out of the continuous cycle of one drama into another drama into another drama. But if you can just love them and serve them and be present with them without bringing any of the contextual junk and culture, it's like I've had people in these types of situations just call me because it's like a break. Everybody else is projecting their stuff, and I'm the one blank slate that they can call and just be present. Because most of the time, if people actually clear and release all the junk associated with something like a death of a loved one, even in tragic circumstances, all they have is loving. That ultimately grief is a love affair. And that there is a process by which their body and their consciousness, their ego has to adjust to the absence of that person, and their basic self and their habits need to adjust to the absence of that person. But aside from that, what's most present in their consciousness is loving. So it's like if you can relate to them at the loving essence level rather than at the story level, you'll be doing them a great service.
Awesome. I feel that very deeply, and I can go there easily because of the love that's already there. And this isn't to like go backwards with what you just said, but like my stepbrother, whose mother committed suicide when he was a kid, he found her body, all that stuff. He discovered that I had a similar experience. My dad had a similar experience to him, and there's that connection. So he's constantly hanging on to that as our area of rapport. I mean, we have a decent relationship anyway, but there's always that thing that's just kind of dangling just in the periphery.
Yeah.
And I would love to let it go. And I think he'd love to let it go. And we do for a time, but then it sneaks back in once in a while.
Yes. I mean, that's also that's a common theme even outside of this type of circumstance where people tend to project onto the other person, the person that they're most comfortable relating to, whether or not that person is who's actually standing there. I would say the same applies. I will often just let people project on me and relate to who they think they're relating to, but I still hold inside of myself that I'm witnessing the one that's transcendent of that. And I experiences it as a loving, patient waiting. And I've gotten that feedback from people about the patience because I don't really experience it as patience, as in like, oh, I wish they would move faster, because I'm already relating to the one that I choose to relate to in them that's transcendent. So for me, it's like there's no waiting involved. I'm already in communion with that one there. But there's no reason why you can't let people relate at the level they can relate. Sometimes they'll give you an opening where you can update them and you can kind of say, well, I just want to let you know I've gone through some changes and I'd really love to relate to you this way now. Or I'd love for us to have a relationship that's built on this. Or I'd love, you see, you can sometimes have a window, but for the vast majority of people I work with, there's only a certain range of relationship that they're open to. And if that's the level that they can work, and if the light's on me interacting and working with them, then I just allow them to do that. For a while, I mean, my ego didn't like that I wasn't being seen or something. But then I realized that I just needed to see myself better. And that I didn't really need them to quote unquote see me at all because the level that I was relating was ultimate seeing. It was like awareness embodied. So,
Well, the good news in that context is that my stepbrother sees the love that we can have between us. That he sees very clearly, and I think that is what we both keep coming back to. So, and then I guess whatever needs to be healed, we'll do it openly. And I don't mind that as a minister. But yeah, I mean, I don't need to change him per se. I just want
yeah.
to be there as a brother.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you, Jeffrey, so much. I really appreciate all the things that you share with us
All
and the
right.
wisdom. God bless.
God bless you. Thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you for staying on. Um, Wishing you a beautiful evening. God bless you. I love you. Peace be still. The blessings already are. See you next.